What began as a routine BRICS foreign ministers meeting in New Delhi turned into something far more volatile when Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi publicly accused the United Arab Emirates of siding with the United States and Israel during the war. Araghchi said he had initially held back from naming the UAE directly, but later chose to speak openly after the issue was raised inside the BRICS meeting. But after the Emirati side raised the war and Iran's response, Araghchi said he felt compelled to answer publicly and in detail. The confrontation was not a leak or an off-camera exchange. It happened inside the BRICS room, with delegates from 10 nations watching, and Araghchi made sure the cameras heard it afterward. What he said to the UAE representative went beyond a normal diplomatic complaint and sounded like a warning delivered in public inside a bloc both countries now belong to.
It was quite strange and unexpected for everyone in the meeting that the Emirati delegation had no issues or concerns at all, except with the topic of war and the specific responses that Iran has given to the United States on their soil. Well, it is a truly unfortunate situation, and I had to provide a full and thorough explanation there for the session and for all the BRICS member countries that were gathered, that while we usually don't say anything, there is certainly a clear limit to our patience. The UAE stood alongside the United States and Israel in this war. I said that we didn't want to get involved in these issues in order to preserve the unity and cohesion of BRICS, but since the representative of the UAE brought up these matters, we are compelled to tell the truth to the international community, and in the end I also advised the representative of the UAE that
Iranian media later quoted Deputy Foreign Minister Kazem Gharibabadi issuing a sharp rebuttal to what he called baseless allegations from the UAE representative. Gharibabadi went beyond rhetoric. Gharibabadi, according to Iranian reporting, cited the 1974 UN General Assembly definition of aggression and argued that enabling attacks can amount to aggression under international law. He said Iran had warned regional states in advance that any assistance to attackers could invite reciprocal strikes on facilities used in such operations. That legal framing is significant. It frames Iran's strikes on UAE territory as retaliation Tehran says was legally justified against a state it accuses of enabling the original attacks. Whether that interpretation holds under international law is contested. But Iran is now putting it on the diplomatic record inside BRICS, backed by a specific UN resolution number. Araghchi and Gharibabadi did not stop at legal arguments. Iranian officials said they have submitted documentation to the UN Security Council, including what they describe as diplomatic notes and records tied to aircraft movements from Emirati territory. The implication is that Iran wants to show the UAE was operationally involved in the US-Israeli campaign, not just politically aligned with it, but actively facilitating military operations from its soil. The UAE has not publicly issued a detailed rebuttal to those specific operational allegations. The documentation Iran claims to have submitted has not been independently verified. But the fact that Tehran is citing it inside a BRICS summit in front of delegates from Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa means the accusation is no longer a bilateral grievance. It is now part of the multilateral record. The BRICS confrontation did not happen in isolation. It came one day after the UAE moved to shut down a separate political firestorm. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office had announced that he secretly visited the UAE during the war and held talks with UAE President Mohammed bin Zayed. Israeli reporting said the meeting took place in Al Ain near the Omani border, though the UAE denied the visit happened at all. The UAE's foreign ministry rejected the claim. It said reports of an alleged visit by Netanyahu or the arrival of an Israeli military delegation were false. The ministry said the UAE's ties with Israel are conducted openly under the Abraham Accords and are not based on non-transparent or unofficial arrangements. The Netanyahu visit claim fed directly into the broader pattern Iran was describing inside BRICS. He linked the episode to what he called attempts to sow division and used it to reinforce his argument that the UAE had been coordinating with Israel throughout the war. Whether Netanyahu actually visited Al Ain or not, the allegation and the UAE's denial have created a situation where the Emirati position is being challenged from two directions at once. Israel says the visit happened. The UAE says it did not. Iran is signaling that it does not find the UAE denial credible, citing what it says is documented evidence of Emirati involvement. And all of this is playing out inside a summit where both Iran and the UAE are supposed to be building consensus as members of the same bloc. The UAE's public response has been limited. Its foreign ministry denied the Netanyahu visit and said any claims regarding unannounced visits or undisclosed arrangements are entirely unfounded. It urged media organizations to exercise accuracy and professionalism. But on the specific allegations Araghchi raised inside the BRICS room, the aircraft movement records, the claims of facilitation, and the accusation of direct involvement in the war, the UAE has not issued a detailed public rebuttal. That silence may be strategic or diplomatic, and it may reflect a calculation that answering Iran in detail inside BRICS would only amplify the accusation. But in a bloc where the information war is as active as the military one, silence is also a position. Araghchi closed his remarks by saying, "Regional security cannot be imported." He called for peaceful coexistence with neighbors. But he also warned that Iran's patience, though real, is not limitless. That combination of language, an offer of coexistence wrapped in a warning about limits, is consistent with how Tehran has been framing its posture toward Gulf states throughout the conflict. The message to the UAE is clear. Iran is willing to coexist with its neighbors. But if those neighbors continue to provide infrastructure, airspace, or logistical support to the countries that attacked Iran, then the consequences will extend beyond the battlefield. They will reach the diplomatic table. And on Wednesday in New Delhi, they did. The Iran-UAE confrontation inside BRICS raises a question the bloc has been avoiding since both countries joined. Can a multilateral forum function when two of its members are publicly accusing each other of acts of war? Iran says the UAE facilitated aggression. The UAE says it was attacked without justification and denies hidden wartime coordination with Israel. Both are BRICS members. Both sat in the same room, and neither showed any sign of backing down. The episode fed directly into a summit that ultimately failed to produce a joint statement. If that is the case, the BRICS summit in New Delhi may be remembered not for what it agreed on, but for the moment the bloc's internal contradictions became impossible to paper over. So this is what happened inside the BRICS room. Iran's foreign minister accused the UAE of standing with the United States and Israel throughout the war. He said he had held back for the sake of unity, but was forced to speak after the Emirati delegation raised the issue first. He told the UAE representative that neither Israel nor the United States can provide lasting security. His deputy cited a 1974 UN resolution to argue that facilitating attacks constitutes aggression. Iran said it has submitted evidence of aircraft movements from Emirati territory to the UN Security Council. The UAE denied Netanyahu's alleged visit, but has not publicly offered a detailed response to Iran's broader operational allegations. And Araghchi warned that Iran's patience is not limitless. The confrontation was not a sidebar. It became one of the defining moments of the summit, delivered in front of a bloc that presents itself as the voice of the global South. Subscribe to WLA for daily geopolitical analysis.